The first quote as we opened up last week was Josh saying that it's not just learning, it's making knowledge sharing and making connections, and how important when it comes to learning, having those connections, having that knowledge sharing network. And kind of has been getting me to think about, do we have a disconnect on what we're measuring? Should we be measuring just the knowledge gain, or should we also in L&D be trying to measure what kind of connections, what type of knowledge sharing is happening?
I haven't seen it in L&D. I mean, I've seen it in Rob Cross's work that he does with all those maps of networks. But I think you're right. I think in L&D we haven't figured out if relationship building is a good outcome of learning in cohorts. Why don't we measure how many relationships did you build? Usually we just say, could you use the work, et cetera, et cetera. No, that's a good point.
I have a couple of things. I don't know how meaningful they are, but they're just top of mind. And so one is, Dirk, thank you again for this opportunity, because I start to see, when you focus on something, more of that starts to appear. And I just had a conversation this morning and something just sparked where it's really taking to your point about scalability and taking the idea of the capability academies that Josh also speaks about. And I'm seeing opportunities, particularly with one aspect of our business, where we could create a cohort around a function and a particular set of capabilities. And then for the scalability piece, it's how could we leverage like high potential talent to be the SME facilitators for those live sessions? So it's a little bit of hypo strategy, it's learning, it's building relationships, it's growing the capabilities. So it's kind of bringing it all together. So I'm very excited about that. It just sparked this morning in a conversation as a potential way to formulate this. And that would not have happened, Dirk, if you had not created this opportunity for us. So thank you.
It depends on what kind of thing you want to happen within a cohort. So with building culture, it seems like people talking to each other and teaching each other about the culture would require less of that certification, but then, or credential. And then when you're certainly working on a skill specific to a function, or also just listening skills or having tough conversations, that's where you want somebody with the credentials. And so it can just vary by the goal of what you're trying to do.
Also, one of the things that was really helpful is from a learning and design aspect for your course delivery. So one of the things with the Josh Bersin Academy that I was able to do was demonstrate what the layout was. And I am using and stealing that semi-synchronous. So because we have such large cohorts here at my company where I want to go through and make the information accessible at all hours of the day. I want to have that conversation at all hours of the day. I'm responding to Teams notifications at all hours of the day. So when we have a platform like this that you're able to go through and do a learning and design aspect and say, hey, here's the content, here's the discussions. And then if you're lucky enough to have a large group of SMEs that can monitor everything and kind of chime in, because that's one of the things that is really fascinating now that we're doing. So we're able to go through and see everyone's comments, and we're able to see other people's input.
I used to do this all the time when I was advising people who designed cohort learning programs. And we did, and so Teresa, I'll just give my template to Dirk, who can attach it to whatever, because he's so good at distributing everything to everyone. But we came up with this table because everybody would come to us with the same problem. They'd be like, my expert is the star and is in such demand. And we'd say, you know what you can do is just film that expert. Like they just give them a one and done, film them on video, and then maybe have them come in for a fireside chat here or there, but that's it. And other people prepare that expert for the fireside chat so that you can say to your expert, listen, I'm only asking for 3 hours of your time total, and I'm going to run this over and over and over again.